The 80s were the golden age of rock. Big hair, loud guitars, unstoppable energy. But behind the music videos, there was a war. MTV had the power to make a song famous overnight. They also had the power to kill it. Some of the biggest rock songs ever made never made it to air. Not because the music was bad, because someone decided you shouldn't see them. And here's the part most people don't know. Some of these banned songs became the most iconic of the entire decade. These are the 10 rock songs MTV tried to bury. Number 10. W.A.S.P. Animal Fuck Like a Beast. Okay, right out of the gate. No easing in, no soft introduction. This song came out swinging, and MTV swung right back with the door. Slammed shut. Picture 1984. You're sitting in your living room. Maybe you're 16, maybe you're a little older. You've got the TV on, and rock music is just starting to explode on cable. Then you hear about this band out of Los Angeles that's wearing raw meat on stage and releasing a single with a title that could not and would not ever be said out loud on daytime television. That was W.A.S.P, and that was Animal. This track was produced during the band's self-titled debut album sessions, released through Capitol Records in 1984. The song was raw, aggressive, deliberately in your face. Frontman Blackie Lawless wrote it to provoke. He wanted a reaction. He absolutely got one. The lyrics were sexually explicit in a way that made even seasoned rock journalists raise an eyebrow. There was no metaphor, no poetry hiding the message. It said exactly what it meant, and that made the suits at MTV deeply uncomfortable. The single was banned immediately, not reviewed, not edited, just banned. MTV wouldn't touch it. Many radio stations refused to add it. Even some record stores in the southern United States refused to stock it. It became one of the central songs in the PMRC hearings that was the Parents Music Resource Center, the Washington group that pushed for warning labels on albums in 1985. Tipper Gore mentioned this song by name. That's how loud the noise around it got. Here's what's wild though. The backlash made people want to hear it more. You couldn't stop curious teenagers from finding it. Word spread. Cassette dubs got passed around. The song became a rite of passage. You heard it at a party on a tape someone's older brother had made, and you felt like you'd seen something you weren't supposed to see. That feeling is exactly what Blackie Lawless was going for. The track never charted in the traditional sense, but it became a cult favorite so powerful that W.A.S.P. fans still sing it word for word at concerts today, 40 years later. It was used in the underground horror and exploitation film circuit during the mid-80s, precisely because of its banned status. That's how deep the roots went. Why is it underrated today? Because when people think of W.A.S.P., they often jump to their later, more melodic work. The raw danger of that debut era gets glossed over. The controversy overshadowed the actual craft of the music, and that's a shame because underneath all the shock value, that riff is genuinely heavy. The production is tight, the performance is committed. It deserved to be heard on its own terms. Number 9. Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It. Now, wait. You know this song. You've heard it 1,000 times. It's been in movies, commercials, political rallies, sports stadiums. But here's something most people don't know. The original music video, MTV had serious problems with it. Let's set the scene. It's 1984. Twisted Sister has just released Stay Hungry. The band has been grinding for over a decade. Over a decade of playing clubs, building a following, getting rejected by labels, coming back harder. And now they finally have a record deal with Atlantic Records and a video budget and a shot at the big time. The video, directed by Marty Callner, was built around a series of comedy sketches where a frustrated teenager transforms into Dee Snider after being yelled at by his father. And then the violence starts. Not real violence, cartoon violence. The father gets launched out of windows, thrown downstairs, blasted by guitar riffs like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. It was ridiculous. It was funny. It was absolutely intentional. But MTV flagged it. Multiple versions were requested. The scenes were deemed too violent, even comedically violent, for rotation without edits. Some versions of the video were cut differently for different day parts. This is our life. This is our song. The full unedited version didn't play freely. And the irony of a song called We're Not Gonna Take It being told to sit down and be edited that was not lost on Dee Snider. Here's your fun fact. When Dee Snider was called before the United States Senate in 1985 for the PMRC hearings, he showed up in his full stage look, wild hair, tight clothes, and delivered one of the most articulate defenses of rock music ever put on congressional record. He spoke without notes. He was calm. He was sharp. He made the senators look like they hadn't done their homework. And this song was at the center of that conversation. The track hit number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100, but more importantly, it became a generational anthem. It's been covered, sampled, used in everything from WWE to Ferris Bueller's spiritual cousins in film. The legacy is enormous. Why bring it up as underrated? Because people forget the fight it took to get that song seen. They just hear the chorus now and think it was always beloved. It wasn't. Someone had to go to Washington and defend it in front of the United States government. That's not a small thing. If you're enjoying this deep dive, smash that like button right now. These stories deserve to be heard.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history, and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee. but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. Number 8. Mötley Crüe, 10 Seconds to Love. This one doesn't get talked about enough, and honestly, that's the whole point of this list. It's 1982. Mötley Crüe is still a band that most of America hasn't fully caught up with yet. Shout at the Devil hasn't happened. The massive arena tours haven't happened. They're hungry, loud, and recording Shout at the Devil's predecessor, the raw, scrappy Too Fast for Love, independently on their own Lether Records imprint before Elektra came calling. 10 Seconds to Love came a little later, but it captured everything that made early Crüe so combustible. The song was explicitly sexual, not suggestive, explicit. The lyrics described a backstage encounter with the kind of detail that left nothing to imagination. Nikki Sixx wrote it the way he wrote everything back then, with zero filter and maximum attitude. MTV wouldn't play the video. The imagery was too much. The label knew pushing it would create friction. So the song got buried inside the album as a deep cut, while the singles that could get airplay, the ones with just enough edge but not too much, got the promotion dollars. Here's your fun fact. The band didn't care. In interviews from that era, they almost seemed to wear the band like a badge of honor. The Crüe's whole identity was built on being too much. Too loud, too fast, too everything. Being banned was basically free marketing for their audience. But here's where it gets bittersweet, because the song is actually excellent. The guitar work from Mick Mars on that track is sharp and underappreciated. The production, even with its raw, early-era grit, has a punch to it that their later, more polished records sometimes traded away for commercial shine. Real fans know this track. Casual listeners probably don't. It faded because the band's own later success swallowed it whole. When you have songs that fill stadiums, the small early fire starters get forgotten. But for anyone who wants to understand what Mötley Crüe were before they became a brand, this song is part of that answer. The deeper we go in this list, the more you're going to realize these bands weren't random. There was a pattern, and we're about to get into it. Number 7. Judas Priest, Eat Me Alive. You want to talk about a song that got dragged into the culture wars of the 1980s? This is the one. Judas Priest were already one of the biggest metal bands in the world. By 1984, Screaming for Vengeance had done massive numbers. Rob Halford was one of the most powerful vocalists in rock. The band had credibility, catalog, and a ferociously loyal following. Eat Me Alive appeared on Defenders of the Faith, produced by Tom Allom, who had been working with the band for years at this point, recording in various British and American studios to get that enormous sound. The track itself is a beast. The riff is driving and aggressive. The drums hit like a sledgehammer. And the lyrics, once again, sexually explicit, deliberately provocative, gave the PMRC exactly the ammunition they were looking for. This song landed at number 3 on the PMRC's so-called Filthy 15 list, their official complaint catalog of songs they presented to the U.S. Sent it as evidence that the music industry needed regulation. Number 3. Out of all the songs in the world, that tells you how much attention this one got. MTV was not going to touch it. The video, such as it was, never made it into meaningful rotation. The song existed on the album, got played live to crowds who lost their minds, and otherwise stayed in the underground.
Sounds like an animal dancing to the beat.
Here's your fun fact. The PMRC hearings, for all the panic they created, arguably did more to sell these albums than any marketing campaign could have. When a senator reads your song title out loud on the evening news, every teenager in America writes it down and goes looking for it.
Born in the pleasure zone, escaping from the heat.
The tragedy is that the song gets remembered for the controversy rather than the musicianship. Listen to it today. Strip away everything you know about the politics, and what you hear is a masterclass in British heavy metal construction. Tight, precise, absolutely ferocious.
That friendship frenzy that deranges and rejoins.
It faded from mainstream conversation because Judas Priest's catalog is so deep and so wide that even their most controversial tracks get swallowed by the sheer volume of great material. But this one mattered. It was part of a fight over who gets to decide what you hear.
Gonna fuss you at gunpoint. 2 weeks.
That fight, it wasn't just about music, it was about power. And we're going to get into exactly that very soon. Number 6. Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything.
Hold on. Before you say, I know this song, stay with me, because the story of how this video almost never existed is one of the best in all of 80s rock history.
You want? How do we know the names? We are the people that can find whatever.
It's 1987. Guns N' Roses have just released Appetite for Destruction on Geffen Records. The album is produced by Mike Klink, and it sounds like nothing else out there.
You may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease.
Not polished, not pretty, raw, dangerous, alive in a way that a lot of late 80s rock had stopped being. But MTV won't play the Welcome to the Jungle video. The official reason given at the time was that the content was too dark. The video depicts a young man arriving in the city, presumably Los Angeles, and being consumed by it. Drugs, violence, excess, desperation. It wasn't fantasy. It wasn't fun. It felt real in a way that made MTV nervous. They gave it one play, 2 in the morning, once. One play.
I wanna watch you bleed. Welcome to the jungle. We're taking names.
Here's your fun fact, and this is the part that should blow your mind. That one play generated enough phone calls and viewer response to the MTV switchboard that the network reconsidered. The audience reaction was immediate and intense. People had been waiting for something that felt honest, and they found it in 5 minutes of Axl Rose crawling through the gutter of the American dream. MTV started adding it to rotation. Then it went into heavy rotation. Then the album exploded. Appetite for Destruction went on to become one of the best-selling debut albums in American history. Multi-platinum. It spent time at number 1 on the Billboard 200. The song has been used in films, television, sporting events, and remains one of the most recognizable rock songs on the planet. But it came within a single network decision of disappearing into obscurity. One play, 2 in the morning. That's how close it got. Why does it still deserve a place on this list? Because the initial ban tells you everything about the fear that authentic, uncomfortable rock music created in corporate media spaces they didn't want real. They wanted sellable. And for a few months in 1987, those two things were not the same. We're halfway through this countdown. Which song has hit you hardest so far? Drop it in the comments right now. I want to know. Number 5. Prince Darling Nikki.
Knew a girl named Nikki, I guess you could say she was a sex.
Yes, Prince is on this list. And if you know your music history, you know exactly why. Now, Prince is not a rock artist in the traditional sense that some of the other names on this list are.
I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating.
But Darling Nikki lives on the Purple Rain soundtrack. And that album, one of the greatest records ever made in any genre, was steeped in rock guitar, rock attitude, and rock energy.
In the magazine, she said, how'd you like to waste some time?
And Purple Rain was released through Warner Brothers Records in 1984, produced by Prince himself with The Revolution.
I could not resist when I saw little Nikki grind.
Darling Nikki was the song that started it all. Not the album's singles, not the title track. This track, buried deeper in the record, was heard by Tipper Gore, who became the founding force behind the PMRC. Her daughter was playing the record. The opening lyrics stopped her cold. And from that moment, a movement was born. MTV had already made clear that the more explicit Prince material would not receive standard rotation. The song had no official video, and the content was considered far too sexual for broadcast. It existed as a listening experience, only something you had to seek out, put on headphones, experience privately.
She took me to her castle, and I just couldn't believe my eyes.
Here's your fun fact. Darling Nikki was later covered by the Foo Fighters in a beautiful, almost stripped-down version that showed just how much genuine songwriting craft sits underneath all that provocative surface. The bones of that song are extraordinary. Dave Grohl understood that.
She had so many devices, everything and
The song and the controversy around it directly shaped the music industry in a permanent way. The parental advisory sticker, that little black and white label you still see on albums today, exists because of this song. Specifically because of this song. That is not an exaggeration. That is documented history.
she said, sign your name on a dotted line.
It faded from casual playlist conversation because Purple Rain, the song, is so overwhelmingly powerful that it absorbs all the attention. But to understand what that album really was, the danger, the boundary pushing, the confrontational spirit, you have to reckon with Darling Nikki.
The lights went out, and Nikki started to grind.
And here's what I want you to sit with. A song that was too much for television in 1984 directly changed the legal and commercial landscape of the American music industry for the next 40 years. That's not just a song, that's a turning point. Hold on, because number 4 is where we go deep on the controversy I promised you at the start. Don't go anywhere. Number 4, W.A.S.P, Blind in Texas, the full W.A.S.P story. Okay, we touched on W.A.S.P back at number 10 with Animal, but I told you we'd come back, and here we are. Because the story of W.A.S.P and MTV isn't just about one band single. It's about a systematic pattern that the band found themselves at the center of, and it says something important about how the music industry operated in the 1980s. Let me remind you where we started. Animal, like a beast, was banned before it could breathe. The PMRC held it up as evidence of cultural collapse. Record stores refused to stock it, and yet the band survived. More than survived. They built a dedicated, ferocious fan base precisely because they were banned. Blind in Texas came from their 1985 album The Last Command, again on Capitol Records, produced by Stephen Chappell and the band. And while this track was not banned in the same explicit way, it entered a television landscape where W.A.S.P. were already on a blacklist. Program directors at MTV were operating with an unspoken understanding this band is trouble. Don't feature them unless you want complaints. This is the part of the story that often gets left out of the history books. The formal banning of a song is one thing. The informal blacklisting, the phone call between an executive and a program director, the meeting where certain artists are quietly moved off the preferred list, that's harder to document. But musicians from that era have spoken about it in interviews for decades. Some say the process was straightforward censorship, dressed up in the language of editorial decisions. Others in the industry have argued that MTV was simply responding to advertiser pressure, that the brands paying for commercial time during music video blocks were threatening to pull their money if certain content remained on air. That's not a conspiracy. That's commerce. And it shaped what a generation of rock fans got to see. What happened to W.A.S.P. as a result? Their commercial ceiling was artificially lowered in the United States, even as they were selling out arenas in Europe. The UK embraced them. Germany, Scandinavia. Markets where the PMRC had no reach gave the band the mainstream success that American television denied them. There are different versions of how Blackie Lawless felt about all of this. In some interviews, he was philosophical. He believed the controversy gave the band an identity that money couldn't buy. In others, there's a rawness there, a sense that the music was being judged before anyone actually listened to it. The legacy effect is this: W.A.S.P. became one of the most important cult rock bands of the 1980s, not because of MTV, in spite of it. The bands pushed them underground, and underground is exactly where their most devoted fans lived. That's why this isn't just music. This is history. This is what happens when media, power, commercial interest, political pressure, and artistic freedom all collide in the same moment. And the music, the actual music, gets caught in the middle. The next 3 entries on this list are going to hit different. Trust me. Keep watching. Number 3. The Rolling Stones, Undercover of the Night. Here's one that surprises people. The Rolling Stones. One of the most legendary bands in rock history. Banned. Yes. It's 1983. The Stones are on Undercover, recorded at Pathé Marconi Studios in Paris and released through Rolling Stones Records via Atlantic.
Cut it too. Keep off the street 'cause you're in danger.
Mick Jagger and Keith Richards wrote this one as a dark, politically charged track about violence, kidnapping, and political oppression in South America. It wasn't party music. It wasn't radio-friendly rock and roll nostalgia. It was genuinely uncomfortable.
100,000 disparos. Lost in
The video, directed by Julian Temple, was shot in a graphic, almost horror film style. There were scenes depicting abduction, violence, and political terror.
the jails in South America. Curl up, baby.
For MTV in 1983, a network that was still finding its identity and trying not to scare away advertisers, this was too much. The unedited version was banned. An edited cut was eventually allowed into limited rotation, but the full vision was suppressed.
Curl up tight. Curl up, baby. Keep it all outside.
Kere's your fun fact. Mick Jagger was deeply committed to this video as a piece of political filmmaking.
No color. Keep it all outside.
He had been reading about the situation in Latin America, the disappearances, the state-sponsored violence, and he wanted the video to reflect the reality of what the lyrics were describing. This wasn't shock for shock's sake. There was genuine artistic and political intent behind it. The song reached the top 40 in the UK and the US, but it never became the landmark single that the Stones' best work tends to become. Part of that is the discomfort of the subject matter. Part of it is that the edited version that most people saw didn't carry the full weight of what Jagger and Jagger intended. It faded because the Stones' catalog is so enormous and so beloved that a politically dark mid-80s detour gets lost in the shuffle. Most casual fans go straight to the 60s and 70s classics. But this song and this video show you that even in the 80s, the Stones were willing to take real risks and say something real. One thing becomes very clear the deeper you go into this list. Banning a song never kills the truth it was trying to tell. Number 2, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. This might be the most famous music ban in all of 80s popular culture. And it belongs on this list because what happened to this song and the way the rock and pop world responded to it is one of the defining moments of that whole era. It's 1983. Frankie Goes to Hollywood are a new band from Liverpool, England. They sign with ZTT Records, the label run by producer Trevor Horn, who is at this point one of the most innovative producers in British music. Horn takes Relax into the studio and builds something enormous, dense, layered, with a bass line that physically moves through you when it hits the right speakers. The song is explicitly about sexual pleasure. The lyrics leave very little to interpretation. And in the United Kingdom, BBC Radio 1 DJ Mike Reed refused to play it on air in January 1984. The BBC then banned it outright from all their stations. MTV followed suit with the video, which was considered far too sexually explicit shot in a club environment with imagery that wouldn't survive daylight television on either side of the Atlantic. Here's what happened next. And pay close attention to this part. The BBC ban was announced on a Monday. By Friday, Relax had jumped to number 1 on the UK singles chart. It stayed there for 5 weeks. 5 weeks. The ban didn't slow it down. It lit the fuse. Every teenager in England who hadn't heard of Frankie Goes to Hollywood now needed to hear this song immediately. It became the most talked about single in Britain in months. Here's your fun fact. Trevor Horn has spoken in interviews about how the band's image and the song's content were crafted with a very specific boldness, a refusal to hide or apologize. He produced the track with the same philosophy. The music had to be as big and undeniable as the controversy, and it was. That production still sounds extraordinary today. The way it builds, the way it drops. It was ahead of its time in every technical sense. The song became a UK number 1. The follow-up, Two Tribes, also went to number 1. The album, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, was a massive commercial success across Europe. But in the United States, the MTV ban limited their crossover potential significantly. They remained bigger in the UK than they ever became in America.
But
It faded from American mainstream memory largely because of that barrier. In Britain, Frankie Goes to Hollywood are remembered as one of the truly important acts of the 1980s. In the US, they're an interesting footnote to people who weren't paying close enough attention. Don't be one of those people. Go back and listen to Relax Today, not for the controversy, for the music, for what Trevor Horn built in that studio, for what it felt like when a band song topped the charts anyway. And now, number 1. The one this whole list has been building toward.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history, and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. Number 1. Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon. There's no other choice for this spot. No other artist, no other moment. When you talk about rock music, MTV, censorship, and the 1980s all in the same breath, the name that sits at the top of that conversation is Ozzy Osbourne. Let me take you back. It's late 1983. Ozzy has already survived more than most people could imagine. The Black Sabbath years, the loss of Randy Rhoads in 1982, his guitarist, his friend, gone in a plane accident that shook him to his core, and yet here he is, recording again. Bark at the Moon was released through Epic Records in 1983, produced by Bob Daisley and Jake E. Lee alongside Ozzy himself. The album was a deliberate statement of survival. The title track opened with this howling, gothic guitar figure from Jake E. Lee, who was criminally underappreciated for his work on this record, by the way, and then Ozzy came in sounding like a man who had decided that the world could either accept him or not. He was going to be here either way. The video was a full werewolf horror production. Ozzy transformed into a monster on screen. There was darkness. There was theatricality. There was imagery that drew directly from horror film aesthetics that MTV was not comfortable amplifying to its largely young audience during daytime and early evening hours. The video was restricted, limited rotation, kept away from the time slots where it would have done real damage. Here's your fun fact. Jake E. Lee, the guitarist who wrote and recorded that iconic riff, has spoken in interviews about how undervalued his contribution to the Ozzy solo years has been historically. The Bark at the Moon album is a masterpiece of early 80s heavy metal guitar work. Lee was precise, melodically inventive, and brought something fresh and technically thrilling to Ozzy's sound after the loss of Randy Rhoads. He deserves more flowers than he gets. Why does it top this list? Because Ozzy Osbourne represents everything MTV was afraid of and everything rock music needed. He was uncontrollable. He was honest about his chaos. He looked the camera in the eye and howled, and the network blinked first. The irony, the beautiful, perfect irony, is that Ozzy went on to become one of the most beloved and recognized figures in all of rock music. A reality television star, a cultural institution, a knighthood in everything but name. The monster they tried to keep off your screen became the most famous rock star on the planet. That's the lesson. You cannot ban what is truly real. You can delay it, you can limit it, but it finds its way through. Always.